At 62, Demi Moore has finally broken her silence, and what she revealed about Ashton Kutcher is darker and more heartbreaking than anyone imagined. For years, the public only saw the glamorous, mismatched Hollywood couple, the stunning superstar and her much younger husband, smiling on red carpets, sharing playful interviews, and blending their families into what looked like a modern fairy tale. But behind the scenes, Demi carried a truth so heavy, so painful, that she kept it locked away for over a decade now. With the clarity of age and the courage that only comes after surviving deep emotional wounds, Demi is finally revealing the secret she once vowed never to share, a secret that explains everything: the sudden collapse of their marriage, the years of silence, and the quiet sadness that lingered long after Ashton moved on. According to Demi, the truth wasn't just about infidelity, jealousy, or fame. It was about something far more personal, something that reshaped her sense of trust, her identity as a woman, and her belief in love itself. Her confession stunned even those closest to her, friends who had watched her spiral, who knew she suffered, but never understood why, fans who admired her strength, yet had no idea what she had endured behind closed doors. And now, as Demi finally speaks openly, the world is beginning to understand the hidden pain that defined those years, and the secret Ashton never expected her to reveal. This is the untold truth Demi Moore has carried for years, and why revealing it now has left Hollywood absolutely shaken. When Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher first appeared together, Hollywood didn't just take notice. It buzzed with disbelief. She was 40, already a global icon, and coming off one of the most challenging periods of her life. He was 25, a rising star best known for comedy roles and his playful charm. To many, their romance felt unexpected, mismatched, maybe even temporary. But to Demi, Ashton represented something she hadn't felt in years: hope. After her highly publicized marriage to Bruce Willis ended, Demi had quietly begun rebuilding her life, focusing on her daughters, her health, and her fading belief in fairy tale love. She didn't expect romance to find her again, and certainly not with someone so much younger. But Ashton entered her world like a spark she didn't know she needed, rekindling a sense of youth, spontaneity, and excitement. Demi later admitted that she felt chosen in a way she hadn't experienced in years. That feeling alone made her ignore every warning sign. Their relationship escalated quickly. They bonded over fitness, family, and a shared desire for something real in an industry that thrives on superficiality. Ashton embraced Demi's daughters, and the blended family dynamic made their relationship look effortless. For a moment, Demi believed destiny had gifted her a second chance. Hollywood, once skeptical, began rooting for them. But beneath the polished red carpet appearances and magazine covers, cracks were already beginning to show. Demi's biggest fear, aging, clashed with the pressure to remain youthful, beside a much younger husband. For Ashton, the spotlight magnified every decision, every insecurity, and every expectation that he subconsciously carried into the marriage. Then came the turning point. Demi wanted another child. She hoped to expand their family and believed it would strengthen their bond. But when she suffered a heartbreaking miscarriage, everything shifted. Demi blamed herself, saying she felt like her body had failed her. The loss was devastating, but even worse was how emotionally distant Ashton became afterward. Instead of comforting her, he withdrew, slowly, quietly, and coldly. Friends noticed his fading presence. He spent more time away, more time with people his own age, more time behaving like a bachelor rather than a husband. Demi, desperate to keep their marriage alive, tried to bend herself into whatever version of a partner she believed he wanted. But the more she tried, the more he slipped away. Their once vibrant connection turned into a silent emotional divide that neither could bridge or still. Demi fought for the relationship. She attended events with him even when she felt broken inside. She defended him against rumors that were already circulating. And she kept his darkest behavior hidden, believing the world didn't need to see the things she was silently enduring behind closed doors. In reality, the marriage was becoming something far different than the fairy tale everyone imagined. Something built on unequal expectations, emotional distance, and a growing secret Demi didn't yet have the courage to confront. By the time she realized the truth, her entire world was about to change, and the darkest chapter of their relationship was only just beginning. The turning point in Demi, Moore and Ashton Kutcher's marriage didn't come with a dramatic fight or a public scandal. It arrived quietly, like a whisper she wasn't ready to hear, a whisper that would soon grow into a storm powerful, enough to tear apart everything she thought she knew. That in the months following her miscarriage, Demi became increasingly insecure. She tried harder than ever to hold on to Ashton, believing that if she could just be the perfect partner, the perfect wife, the perfect version of herself, everything would fall back into place. She followed Ashton to parties where she often felt out of place. She agreed to lifestyle changes she wasn't fully comfortable with. She even began to reshape her identity around the idea of us, forgetting the strength she once had on her own. But Ashton's behavior kept shifting. He stayed out late. He avoided difficult conversations. He seemed irritated by Demi's vulnerability, rolling his eyes or pulling away whenever she reached out for reassurance. To the outside world, they were still Hollywood's glamorous couple. But inside their home, silence had replaced affection. Then came the night that everything changed. Demi received a phone call she never expected. A call that confirmed the rumor she had desperately convinced herself wasn't true. Ashton had been unfaithful. The betrayal was devastating. But what shattered her even more was who he had cheated with, someone young, carefree, and closer to the world he felt slipping away in his marriage. At first, Demi didn't want to believe it. She had stood by this man through insecurity, heartbreak, and loss. She had defended him, supported him, loved him with every part of her fragile yet determined heart. But the proof was undeniable. Witnesses, messages, and later, Ashton's own admission. The truth hit her like a blow. Not just because of the betrayal, but because of what it revealed about their relationship. Ashton's cheating wasn't a what-I mistake. It was a symptom of something deeper, a growing resentment, a longing for freedom, and a refusal to confront the emotional damage that had been building between them. But there was an even darker layer, one Demi had kept hidden for years. Ashton had often made comments that cut deep, criticisms about her body, her age, her insecurities, remarks framed as jokes but meant to hurt. He expected Demi to match his lifestyle, his energy, his desires, without acknowledging the pain she carried inside. For a woman who had spent much of her life battling feelings of abandonment and not being enough, his behavior reopened old wounds she thought she had buried long ago. The cheating wasn't just a betrayal of their marriage. It was a betrayal of her trust, her dignity, and the belief that she could build a stable future with someone who understood her. When Demi confronted Ashton, she expected remorse. Instead, she was met with indifference, and in some moments, defensiveness. He didn't comfort her. He didn't apologize in a way that felt sincere. He acted as though the collapse of their marriage was inevitable, as though she was asking too much for honesty and loyalty. The emotional devastation pushed Demi into one of the darkest periods of her life. She spiraled, feeling lost, hollow, and unsure of who she was without the relationship she had tried so hard to save. Her friends worried. Her daughters felt helpless, and Demi herself began to question whether she had been blind to the truth all along. But behind the pain was something else, a secret that Demi had kept for far too long, one that revealed just how toxic the marriage had truly become. And when she finally spoke it out loud, the world would realize that what happened between Demi and Ashton was far more heartbreaking than anyone ever imagined. After the painful revelations about Ashton Kutcher, Demi Moore found herself at a crossroads. For years, she had devoted herself to a relationship that slowly eroded her confidence, reshaped her identity, and forced her to hide her pain behind a smile. Now, confronted with the truth, she had a choice: remain trapped in the shadow of heartbreak or reclaim her life and her voice. The first step toward healing was solitude. Demi realized she needed time away from public appearances, from media scrutiny, and even from the people who unintentionally pressured her to maintain an image of strength. She spent months reflecting on her life, examining her past choices, and understanding the patterns that had allowed her to be hurt in ways that went unnoticed. It was during these quiet moments that Demi began rediscovering herself, not as a celebrity, not as a mother, and not as Ashton's partner, but as a woman of immense resilience, courage, and talent therapy, and support networks became central to her recovery. Demi opened up to trusted friends, family, and professionals, sharing feelings she had buried for years. For the first time, she allowed herself to grieve the relationship fully, acknowledging both the love and the pain she had experienced. It wasn't an easy process. Revisiting memories of betrayal and emotional neglect brought tears, anger, and moments of despair. But with each session, with each honest conversation, Demi felt a layer of weight lifting, slowly allowing her to step out of the darkness and begin walking toward light. Work also played a crucial role in her resurgence. Demi returned to acting and producing with renewed energy, choosing projects that reflected her personal growth and artistic vision. Instead of chasing roles for validation or public acclaim, she focused on work that brought her fulfillment and allowed her to channel her emotions into meaningful performances. Audiences noticed the change. There was a depth, authenticity, and emotional honesty in her work that had never been more apparent. Equally important was Demi's renewed commitment to self-care. She embraced practices that nurtured her mind, body, and soul, fitness routines, meditation, travel, and moments of simple joy. These habits were more than physical maintenance. They were acts of reclaiming power and reinforcing the boundaries she had neglected. During the years with Ashton, Demi learned that her value did not depend on someone else's approval, and that true strength comes from within. Perhaps the most inspiring transformation came in how Demi redefined love and relationships. She no longer sought validation or fulfillment from a partner. Instead, she focused on cultivating emotional intelligence, empathy, and understanding within herself. This approach allowed her to set healthier boundaries, recognize red flags earlier, and approach future relationships with clarity and confidence. The lessons from her marriage to Ashton, though painful, became tools for resilience and personal growth rather than chains that held her back. By the end of this period, Demi Moore had emerged stronger, wiser, and more self-assured than ever. The darkness that once consumed her had been replaced by a quiet strength and an unwavering commitment to her own well-being. She had faced betrayal, heartbreak, and public scrutiny, and had survived, proving to herself and the world that her spirit was unbreakable. It's about transformation, empowerment, and the reclaiming of a life that belongs wholly to her. Demi's journey reminds everyone that even in the wake of profound betrayal, it is possible to rise, heal, and shine brighter than before. Today, Demi Moore stands as a symbol of resilience and self-discovery, a woman who refused to be defined by betrayal, heartbreak, or public scrutiny. Her marriage to Ashton Kutcher, once the center of tabloid fascination, is now a chapter she has processed, understood, and used as a catalyst for growth. What she endured could have left her bitter, withdrawn, or disillusioned, but instead, it became a turning point that shaped her into someone stronger, wiser, and more empowered than ever. In the years following her split from Ashton, Demi focused on rebuilding herself on her own terms. She strengthened her relationships with her daughters, nurtured friendships that had been strained by the pressures of Hollywood, and devoted herself to personal projects that resonated deeply with her. Rather than seeking external validation, she prioritized authenticity, surrounding herself with people who respected her journey and supported her well-being. This period of introspection allowed her to reconnect with her passions, embrace her individuality, and define success not by fame or public opinion, but by personal fulfillment. Demi also embraced the power of sharing her story. By opening up about the struggles she faced, she became a voice for countless women navigating toxic relationships, emotional neglect, and betrayal. Her courage in speaking out demonstrated that vulnerability is not weakness, but a powerful form of strength. She reminded the world that even those who seem invincible on the surface experience pain, yet can rise from it with dignity and grace. Her honesty has inspired many to confront their own challenges, set boundaries, and reclaim their sense of self-worth. Professionally, Demi continued to evolve. She selected roles and projects that allowed her to express herself fully, drawing on the emotional depth cultivated through her personal experiences. She demonstrated that growth and reinvention are possible at any stage of life, and that lessons learned in private can profoundly enhance public achievements. Fans noticed the difference, Her performances, interviews, and public appearances carried a renewed authenticity, a quiet confidence, and an emotional honesty that resonated far beyond Hollywood glitz. Perhaps most importantly, Demi's journey reflects the power of self-empowerment. She transformed pain into strength, heartbreak into wisdom, and secrecy into transparency. Her experience with Ashton Kutcher, though dark and challenging, ultimately became a pivotal force in shaping her future, one defined by resilience, clarity, and the courage to live authentically. She has shown the world that surviving betrayal does not mean simply enduring. It means reclaiming your life, your voice, and your sense of purpose. In the end, Demi Moore's story is more than a tale of heartbreak and secrecy. It is a testament to the human spirit's capacity for growth, healing, and transformation. Through adversity, she discovered an inner strength that could not be shaken, a clarity that could not be obscured, and a sense of self that could not be compromised. Her life today stands as proof that even the darkest secrets, when faced with courage, can lead to light, empowerment, and lasting legacy.